How do Aries women and Sagittarian men get on in love, romance, sex, and relationships? So the examples I'm going to be looking at is Diana Ross, who is Aries, and Arnie Natrich Jr., who is Sagittarius, divorced. Emma Thompson, Aries, and Kenneth Branagh, Sagittarius. Kate Hudson, Aries, and Chris Robinson, Sagittarius. So, of course, we have here two fire signs, one cardinal and one mutable. Aries and Sagittarius are perfect for friends and partners. The Aries girl is going to notice Sagittarius man right away, and the archer inspires and excites Aries. Sagittarius men are attracted to Aries girls and romantically aroused. The relationship will get going really quickly. It's going to spark up like wildfire. But Aries girl can get a little bit frustrated when she finds that Sagittarius man doesn't really want to settle down. So there's a lot of positivity and enjoyment in this love match, and it tends to bring out the best in both of you. It brings out positivity, competitiveness, and energy. A relationship also enhances the creativity and self-worth of Sagittarius man, and Aries girl can even bring out the leader in Sagittarius man. Alternatively, Sagittarius man helps Aries girl to think bigger, aim higher, and possibly pay more attention to society as a whole and to be less selfish. But what about the longer term? Indeed, this match is ideal for a whirlwind romance, and there's no shortage of fun, parties, and great sex. But after the dust settles, can you guys carve out a life together? You're both competitive people who are great optimists who love life, but Sagittarius man is looking for a flexible mate who adapts to them and enjoys discussions, often of abstract things. And Aries girls are quite traditional. They want a more settled and conventional lifestyle eventually. So Aries girl might feel a bit secure with Sagittarius man because he's always kind of looking for the next best thing, always got a kind of grass is greener on the other side mentality that stops him settling. And Aries girl might perceive Sag man as kind of unreliable, someone who talks too much and never follows through. So success in this love match is definitely about space and freedom, because you just can't live in each other's pockets, and you might need different hobbies and pursuits, careers, etc. Faith and religion can often be a huge plus and a uniting factor in this match, but you have to make more time for affection. You can't always rush love and intimacy. So what about Emma Thompson, Aries, and Sir Kenneth Branagh, Sagittarius? They were the golden couple of British cinema in the early 90s. However, they separated, and there were rumours that he was having an affair with Helena Bonham Carter, who's also an actress. She's Gemini, actually. So it's quite typical that Sagittarius man had an affair with Gemini, because that is a classic match, and there's something irresistible about Gemini to Sag man. Gemini girl has a few things that Aries girl doesn't have, which Sagittarius man is looking for. So, Emma Thompson, however, made her peace with her former love rival, Helena, and actually described her as a wonderful woman. So the double Oscar-winning actress and screenwriter even admitted that the personality traits she shares with Bonham Carter may have been the reason why her ex-husband fell for both of them. Yes, because both of them are vibrant and exciting, but Gemini girl has a certain flexibility and a greater communication style that Sagittarius man is attracted to. However, Emma Thompson talked about the terrible depression she had when their marriage broke up. However, as you can see, there's a lot of forgiveness going on. And even though the breakup between these two can be painful because they are both, quite passionate, and Aries girl tends to be very invested in the relationship, so it's hard for Aries girl if it breaks down, they both will find a way through it and will find a way to forgive. So it can have a very positive outcome eventually, even if it's a bitter experience when they break up. So what about Kate Hudson? Well, she married Chris Robinson, the front man of the Black Crowes, in 2000 in Colorado. They had a son, and obviously he was on many music tours. She was busy with her acting career, and it wasn't too long before they separated in 2006. They cited irreconcilable differences, and Kate Hudson was granted custody of their children. So there was another example of a relationship that didn't work, as did the relationship between Diana Ross and her Sagittarian husband. So there we have three examples, and in all cases the fire kind of burned out. So we had two fire signs, They were very excited about each other. The relationship was going great guns, and it just petered out. And that is something that can happen with Aries and Sagittarius. So you do have to watch out for that. It starts all guns blazing, looks incredibly positive, but eventually you just grow apart and there's not enough to hold you together, but you can certainly go on to still be great friends. So, as I say, fire cardinal with Aries and fire air with Sagittarius, the heat sometimes gets out of control and the forest fire spreads. So the question is, is there too much firepower and passion? Are you guys going to spontaneously combust? And as we saw in those 3 examples, the answer was yes. How do they meet? Well, Aries girl often meets Mr. Sag while traveling because there's kind of an exotic flavor to this relationship that spells either long-distance love affair or holiday fling. And it really does suit a holiday romance because it gets off the ground very fast, as it would have to if you're only on holiday for a week. And this relationship flies off like a 747 shooting down the runway. There's a lot of information exchange, there's a lot to be learned, and you guys will share a lot very quickly. You don't hold back sexually or emotionally, so you get to know each other very fast. Another place Sagittarius guy and Gemini girl often hook up is at university. Well, they're both studying and when the world feels like their oyster, because university and college is a very idealistic time when dreams abound and hope is high, and this is the perfect metaphor for that match. So definitely a Grease Lightning style romance that's very typical. Sag man and Aries girl often meet via sports events or while competing in sports. So if you're a Sag guy or you're an Aries girl, just take a look about your triathlon training buddies. Take note of who's single, because there's a possibility that a relationship will spring out of your sporting interests. So you guys put a great emphasis on fun and expansion while you're dating, and your partnership's full of activity and enjoyment. It really is going to be a memorable relationship, and it'll help both of you develop confidence and improve self-esteem. And your sex can be very expressive and sometimes a little bit explosive. Sometimes temper tantrums morph into brilliant sex. You guys both have a temper. There's definitely going to be arguments, or dare I say shouting matches, and a lot of door slamming. But since you both cool off fast, the making up can be something to really look forward to. Neither of you are grudge-bearing. Both these signs, Sag and Aries, believe life is for living. You don't linger, you don't brood, you just get on with things. That's a real positive. As you can see, even with Emma Thompson, and her husband, Kenneth Branagh, there was pain. He had been unfaithful, but they've both moved on with that now. They've forgiven and they're able to see the bigger picture, which is what these two often do. So Cupid strikes fast with these two. It's often kind of love at first sight. There's no circling around each other at the disco, eyeing each other up at the coffee machine for months before you finally pluck up the courage. So this match is the definition of speed dating. There's also very good intuitive understanding between you that kind of draws you together. It's not a logical evaluation of, well, he's okay, he's got a good job, he's got a nice car, he's tall. It's more like Aries girl sees Mr. Sagittarius, he sees Aries girl, and you hit it off and you start laughing right away because you both sense a flavor of adventure and passion in each other. You both enjoy each other's humor. You love to tease each other and mess about because this relationship can bring out the child in Sagittarius man and help him to feel young again, whatever age he is. So this love match is very stimulating, both physically and intellectually, and it's quite invigorating in that it makes you start living life rather than just ticking off the days. So no doubt this relationship will do you both good, but it's about what you awaken in each other rather than mutual love. So sometimes this relationship is not so much about the relationship, it's about how it makes you both feel, which is good, but it also means that you growing as a person within this relationship, but that doesn't mean you're growing together. Could mean you're actually growing apart. So while there is a serious attraction, the relationship might not always make a lot of sense to your friends and family. I mean, there might even be dissenting voices warning you off each other, and this usually tends to enhance the passion. However, in the wee small hours of the night, you both know that your friends and family who are warning you aren't totally wrong, because this relationship does have its problems. Aries girl over time may find Mr. Sagittarius too indirect, too impractical. His constant seeking could leave you, Aries girl, feeling frustrated as you feel nothing is ever good enough for him. And Sagittarius man may despair at Aries' lack of forethought. He may question Aries girl's motive, and often he reads far too much into what Aries girl regards as simple. Aries girl also wants to settle down. She wants to reach a place where she feels comfortable, and she's kind of unnerved by Sag man's changeability, which makes her insecure. So while neither of you hold grudges, there may be little of substance to move on to after an argument. So Sag man always wants to know what's next. And Aries girl might think, well, I'm happy where I am. So this is one of those love matches that could actually be killed off by commitment. I mean, you've heard folks say everything changed after we got married. Well, that can be true of many love matches, and this definitely applies to this one. Every relationship needs a builder. And this combination lacks a partner who can really put the building blocks down and make a foundation to build love on. If either are going to do this, it'll probably be Aries girl rather than Sagittarius man. You both dream of exclusivity, and yet when it comes to it, both of you are vulnerable to attraction to other people because the bond is weak, and it almost seems okay to fall for someone else, especially if they offer more certainty. Or, as we saw in the case with Kenneth Branagh, who had an affair with Helena Bonham Carter, he was just more suited to the Gemini at the end of the day, who offered him a kind of buzz, a kind of variety, a kind of intellectual stimulation and communication that was possibly missing with his Aries partner, Emma Thompson. So this love match is very much about identity, and somehow both your barriers come down, which can mean that disappointment and hurts get felt harder and are taken too personally. That's why, as you can see, Emma Thompson had a desperate time with depression after the breakup, because it felt very, very personal. So you both need to be able to mature at the same rate to keep this relationship going. So ideally, the Sagittarius man should be the older one. So the problem with the fast start of this relationship is that the high expectations you both have tend to just expand and are very hard to fulfill once the drudgery of real life starts to impose its ways, as it always does, when bills roll in and kids come along. So this match really suits couples who both work and have very demanding careers, or are well established and have finished bringing up their kids. I think one of the problems with Kate Hudson and her husband was, they were married for about 6 years. As soon as their son came along, the difficulty set in because it wasn't such a free and easy, fun-loving relationship. One of them had to be tied down and more involved with child-rearing, and that's when the relationship headed south. So the key for this relationship is just enjoy it while it lasts. I mean, in some cases you may both resist commitment, and over time it can become a rather healthy friends with benefits situation, or maybe just a great platonic friendship that can continue after you both move on elsewhere. I mean, there'll always be a mental connection here. This can mean mental in the sense of being a meeting of the minds, or just mental, which is a slang term for crazy and off the wall. So although this is astrologically a very lucky combination, it takes some effort to get the luck to manifest, and so you kind of have to rub the lamp and get the genie to come out. You both tend to have a positive outlook, and yet you also are both very idealistic and impractical, and so many important elements of life often get neglected. You want to believe in the best outcome in terms of both people and life, and that means you can be blindsided by the problems that creep up on you. Neither of you will see them coming. So Aries girl is more concerned with security, yet she doesn't always take the necessary steps to see if it's established. It's just a wishing and a hoping is a key phrase in this love match. Even when you both sense things are going wrong, you avoid dealing with them, as neither of you know quite how, and you will just take a glass half full view and assume it'll all just work out for itself. The sexual attraction is always strong, but it can be impersonal at times, and the sex can lack passion. You both neglect to find out what truly turns the other on, and can end up being quite an immature couple, sexually speaking, because you don't always explore adequately different ways of reaching intimate fulfillment. So, communication is a strong point, and the banter will keep you entertained, so maybe you don't need to rely so much on sex. So, both of you guys understand your respective needs for change, and you can both be philosophical about the challenges that face you. Neither of you hold grudges, so no matter what, there's always going to be a silver lining at some point in this relationship, whichever way it lands up. But the emotional bond will always be weak, and yet you can use sex, especially chats in the afterglow, to improve and deepen that bond. So just be more patient with each other. Be more willing to learn a bit about each other on an emotional and intimate level. Take that time to spend quality time together. Stop rushing about, because one of the big problems in this relationship is too much activity, too much action, too much rushing about, and not enough time to just sit there soaking each other up, appreciating each other, sharing secrets, and just asking more questions about each other.